Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review to Everton's another roller coaster ride. I feel like I'm in Portaventura at the moment. Our FA Cup victory against Tottenham Hotspur 5-4 at Goodison Park last night. It wasn't a penalty score. All 9 goals scored within the space of a 90 minutes plus extra time, of course. So we're going to go into talk about it today. It is the live game review. We'll talk about all of Everton's goals, some of the errors we made to concede for at home, because ultimately it wasn't a fantastic win, and I want to talk about the spirit of the team and the passion and, you know, our fight and our never say die attitude, as Duncan Ferguson said after the game. But I also want to talk about the fact that we were, you know, far too easy to play against in terms of balls coming into the box, and we really didn't have much aerial threat defensively. But it's a massive win. It is a massive win. Everton moving into the quarter-final stage now. We'll see who we draw against tonight. I think the draw's at 7:45 after there's another game on.
Shitty.
Is it? Yeah, it'd be City or United. It'd be City away probably. That's usually who we get at this stage in the. But to be fair, I'd take most teams away from home, and that's another big, you know, talking point from yesterday, is we actually turned up and won a home game, and we actually scored 5 goals at Goodison Park, you know, since for the first time since the start of the season, albeit we conceded 4 as well. But it was a roller coaster ride. We're joined by Tom as always. Massive thanks for coming on, Tom. Really do appreciate it. It was crazy, wasn't it? It really was crazy. You know, from the opening 10 or 15 minutes where we struggled, and Tottenham obviously got the early goal and started really well, and were pushing at us and we're threatening. Obviously, Robin Olsen made a couple of really big saves at 1-0 down, and then all of a sudden, much like at Old Trafford last weekend, within the space of 7 or 8 minutes, Everton are 3-1 up, and you're thinking, well, how's this happened then? And of course, it wouldn't be Everton to just go in at half time 3-1 and come out and just, you know, have the game done and dusted. We'd have to concede another one and pile a load of pressure on ourselves. But it really was a crazy game of football, and again, you know, there's a lot of positives to take from that, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a typical proper FA Cup match, wasn't it?
Yeah, the neutrals were loving it.
I know, yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, they'd be absolutely loving that. I mean, as an Everton fan, I put up for the roller coaster of emotions was just, at half time, it was just so bizarre. It was like, I didn't know how to feel. I was like, I'm happy that we come back, but then I'm unhappy that they conceded late. It was just, it was such a weird one, wasn't it, to even think. And then, listen, fair play to them. I mean, Everton don't do that, do they? No. Everton do not win in over extra time. And I was thinking, right, here's pens and the case letters again, you know what I mean? I could have seen on a pen shootout. So, but listen, when you look at it at the bones of it this season, they've literally overachieved massively, as much as what he possibly could. I mean, you look at the stats and everything in the Prem, they've achieved so much higher than what is expected of them. Yeah. I mean, they're putting the expected goals and thingies, and that's a shame, really. Yeah. I mean, but then you're looking at even the Carling colour. I know it was a bit of a disappointment against Man United, but there's a quarter final. Yeah. I mean, it's massive. That's massive. That when you look at the big grand scheme of things, I mean, over the last 3 or 4 years, we've done absolutely nothing whatsoever. We've had all this money, and then we've got to 2 quarter-finals, and looks like hopefully we're pushing into that top 6. So it's such a massive season, and listen, it's down to one man, and it's Carlo Ancelotti.
That's it.
That's all you can really say about it. I mean, when you look at it, would Marco Silva, Sam Allardyce, Ronald Koeman got us to this point?
No.
Well, the answer's no. We've seen it. The proof's in the pudding, innit?
Yeah. No.
So it's just terrific. I mean, the backroom staff have worked absolute wonders.
Yeah.
From actually getting like recruitment right for once in how many years?
Too long.
To like, and then, I mean, the biggest credit you could possibly give at Carlo Ancelotti is how much he's improved players that were already at the club. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, Calvert-Lewin's progression is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I watched the one about the Man United when they 2-4-4. I mean, the lad's just a whole different striker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and even though when he went off, I thought like that. Listen, if he's out for any period of time, you can forget about Europe because he's the talisman. I mean, I know Rich. Listen, you could probably get on to Richie, but it's him, and it's pretty much him and Ancelotti for me.
Yeah.
I mean, before the start of the season, I was on Toffee TV talking about Calvert-Lewin, and the whole topic was about like, is he a championship level striker? I mean, that was the discussion.
Yeah, that was the discussion. To be fair,
that fans were having.
Yeah, that was still a discussion halfway through the season when he had a poor game.
I know, and then you go from like that point of having that discussion to like putting him where he is now. It's just crazy. It's such a crazy turn of events for him, but it's brilliant.
Yeah. No, I agree. Absolutely, I agree. He's been excellent this season, and we don't know the severity of his injury yet. We'll get on to talking about him, leaving the pitch and Everton actually turning up and performing without Dominic Calvert-Lewin for, what was I think over an hour in total, given extra time as well. Carlo Ancelotti has said that he'll have a scan today to determine the injury. That was reported on Sky Sports as well. So I suppose we'll either hear later tonight or we'll hear in Carlo's press conference tomorrow before the Fulham game where about Dominic Calvert-Lewin is with that injury. But no, I absolutely agree. You brought up a really good point there about Carlo Ancelotti, and I feel like in every game now, certainly in the last few weeks or so, you're sitting down after every result and you're sort of looking at something and you're thinking, well, that wasn't there without Carlo Ancelotti. Before Carlo came, we didn't have that we didn't have that grit, we didn't have that spirit, and spirit is something that I want to talk about frequently throughout this live stream, and it's because Carlo Ancelotti's talked about it frequently in recent weeks. He come out after the Newcastle game, and I think he was asked, a question about Everton having more quality than Newcastle and what went wrong, and he just said, look, it doesn't really matter about quality, it doesn't matter who's got the better team, it's about the spirit. You can have a team full of quality players, but if they haven't got the spirit to get up and win or get up and lift your head up when you go behind, then you're not gonna achieve anything. And he's constantly mentioned the word spirit. Like I said, in the last 3 or 4 press conferences, even when we bounced back against Leeds, he talked about the spirit of the team, and that's one thing that we've seen for me over the last couple of weeks or so. You'll only have to look at the Manchester United game at Old Trafford, coming back from 2-0 down within 10 minutes of the second half. We've turned that around. Okay, we give away a stupid goal again, but then we go and get an equaliser in the dying embers of the game when we all thought it was done and dusted. Last kick of the game, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, as Tom said, pops up, and you look at this one again, 1-0 down, and against the run of play, Spurs were quite comfortable with it. We look like we'd started slow. We look like, other than a couple of players, I'd say Tom Davies really shone throughout, and Robin Olsen looked sharp in that first half, but other than a couple of players, them two being the two, everybody else just looked a little bit lackadaisical. He looked a little bit down, and within 10 minutes you're literally blinking, we're 3-1 up, and it's changed. And I completely agree with Tom. I was sitting there at half time and I didn't know really what to think, because I didn't think either team had performed brilliantly. But there was 5 goals in the game. I was sitting there thinking, I don't think either team has had a good half here, and it was constantly mentioned on the commentary as that this is when we were 3-1 up. This is Everton only really after side that they can be, really, because it wasn't our greatest performance. Like I said, the opening 15 or 20 minutes we really struggled, but we get that equaliser, which is a fantastic goal by Dom, and then all of a sudden we just turn it on, and within a couple of minutes we've scored the second. Gylfi Sigurdsson's brought the ball down brilliantly, passed it to Dom, we've got a penalty, and we've scored the third. So it really was a mad result. But I agree, Carlo Ancelotti is bringing so much to this Everton team and to our football club, this winning mentality. You looked at him yesterday, and it's become a meme now, and it's gone all over social media, and it's absolutely boss. But the celebrations of Carlo Ancelotti, or should I say the lack of celebration from Carlo Ancelotti when Bernard fired in the 5th, and I seen a tweet at the time, which from some football banter account, if that's what you want to call them, saying that's the face of a man who knows he's going to concede again. Well, that's the face of a man who's probably thinking, I should have been home at this time watching The Fall on Netflix or something. These have made it more difficult for themselves. Just get on with the game. It was like when we equalised at Old Trafford. He wasn't running up and down the touchline. He actually backed Duncan Ferguson off running and giving him a hug. He's so cool. He's so calm.
He weren't going to stop Duncan giving him a hug there, though.
No, he was never going to stop him.
You just take that. You just take the hit.
You don't argue with it, do you? But that's what I mean. That's the look of a man who sort of has been there and done it, and it was so cool and it was so calm, and he didn't like look up. He just looked down, blowing his tea, and he looked like he was fuming at the fact that whatever it was in his cup was still hot and he couldn't drink it.
Oh, listen, I've seen a few people saying it was soup. You've said it. Listen,
I don't know what it is.
That's the finest Italian coffee you'll ever see at Goodison Park.
There you go.
That man is not drinking. I said, some lad put it up saying he was on tour. Listen, we haven't got Sam Allardyce here, anymore about sipping his bovrils. Like, no, that's an Italian connoisseur, mate. He's drinking coffee beans, grounded at the back. Some poor soul sweating his bollocks off there, grinding away there. Know what I mean?
In the changing room.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted. No way that was super box.
Only the finest for our Carlo. That's probably why he looked disgusted at the fact that it was still roasting hot and he couldn't drink it. Yeah. But it was mad, wasn't it? It was a mad first half, like you mentioned, and like I said, we'll go into more detail. If you're watching the live comments, massive thanks for getting involved. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, leave the stream a like, don't forget to share it on social media as well. We'll get as many people involved as possible. But it started off poorly, Tom. I mean, for the first 10 or 15, 20 minutes, we were, I wouldn't say massively overrun by Tottenham, but we just didn't look like we were up for the game. They turned up, obviously got an early goal. First of all, it's a silly goal to concede for me. It's a comfortable ball into the box and nobody rises. This is me conversation about Gylfi Sigurdsson, which we'll move on to a little bit later on in the live stream. I really struggled to give Gylfi Sigurdsson a rating yesterday because on one hand, he has literally put in one of the best attacking performances that he's put in an Everton shirt. He has been absolutely instrumental. The ball to Bernard is just unbelievable. If that, I said it in the reaction yesterday, if that's James Rodriguez, we're talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So he absolutely deserves to be mentioned because it's a fantastic ball. Another 2 assists, completely, at a time in the game when we're 2-1 up and we're on top, he puts the penalty away, no issues whatsoever, calm, cool, collected. But then on the other side of the pitch, I personally think he's at fault for the first goal. I think he's worried too much about Davinson Sanchez himself and rather where the ball's going, and he doesn't make a jump for it. Having said that, there's probably another 2 or 3 Everton players that could have done better. I think Michael Keane gets underneath it again for the second time in a week or so. But it was a really poor goal to concede right at the start of the game, wasn't it? And like I said, it didn't set it up very well for that opening 15 or 20 minutes, and we invited a lot of unnecessary pressure. And I think we can talk about Robin Olsen as well, because he made a couple of really big saves at that period, which kept it at 1-0. But what did you make when we sort of went 1-0 down within the opening 5 minutes, and you're thinking, is this going to be another one of those days?
I mean, I know we're praising Ancelotti in that, but in the same breath, this team, I don't know how we can sort of change, because this team has got this sort of bit of a habit to not get warming up after 5-10 minutes. I mean, we've seen against Man United a couple times now. We've seen against Tottenham, we've seen against Liverpool, we've seen against West Brom from top of my head.
Yeah.
So and we just go, and then all of a sudden that goal just all of a sudden perks us up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we're in a game now. You know what I mean? So it was a bit of a strange one. Listen to I sort of was not as critical as such, but sort of pointed out a bit of a thing. Listen, David Ancelotti, to me, I'm assuming, and I'm quite confident, he's the one who sets them up in terms of set pieces and things like this. And he's been tremendous. You look at the freak set piece stats and all that. He's been brilliant.
Yeah.
If that is his job, but I think it pretty sure is. One thing he got wrong was the Sigurdsson marking up with Sanchez. I understand people can come at me with he hasn't scored in one goal or scored one goal. Or they said that was just a complete mismatch.
Yeah.
And you could tell Sigurdsson was very uncomfortable in doing that job.
Yeah.
He was so uncomfortable. I mean, the first goal, you sort of seen it, and I don't know what's going on, but I'm pretty convinced that Calvert-Lewin's had a shout, because he's gone to go and then stopped.
Yeah.
So it was weird. I mean, I was looking at I've watched it about 5 or 6 times, and I was trying to work it out. Listen, Sigurdsson's just totally lost his man, and how Sanchez got up, I mean, no way.
Yeah.
Listen, Sigurdsson can just about jump a freaking an inch,
let
alone get up there with him. I mean, he just looks so uncomfortable. But then you had Michael Keane, who's marking no one. He sort of just had a bit of a zone. I think it was a bit of a zonal mark, and zonal / man marking hybrid kind of thing. And Calvert-Lewin obviously had his own, but he got the shout, and Sigurdsson just hasn't competed at all. And listen, that goal was sort of coming, weren't it? Though, they had like 2 or 3 chances, and I mean, like you mentioned, Olsen kept us in the game pretty much in that first 5-10 minutes. I mean, when you look at the sort of bones of that, I mean, it could have been 3-0 down in the space of 5-10 minutes, and you're looking at it going, what's gone on here? Yeah. So, but the first goal, you'd have to put the blame on Sigurdsson, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the mad thing about football, isn't it? Is usually we're sitting down and we're talking about a 1-0 or a 2-0 or a 3-0, and we're saying, oh, we had chances to make it 5-6. They had chances. This game was very much a lot of chances that both teams had were converted. Everton were clinical going forward. Tottenham made the better of our mistakes. I think Tottenham clocked on very, very quickly that balls coming into the box were going to be our downfall, and we were really struggling to deal with them. Now I don't know whether that is because obviously if we play this really, really sort of tight back line to Olsen, and it doesn't give much room. I don't know, or maybe it was just that Yerry Mina and Michael Keane didn't have their greatest of games. I mean, Yerry Mina's been absolutely exceptional recently, hasn't he?
Just it's such a weird one. It's like where like we heard Ancelotti talking about like rotation and things like that. I'm starting to get convinced that this team doesn't need it. I mean, it's like a detriment to them. I mean, Keane, I don't think played. Was it Manchester United?
No, Keane played Man United. He didn't play Leeds. Yeah.
And then he come back at United. He looked out of sorts with his passing and things like that. And then he played against Tottenham. He looked out of sorts.
Yeah.
But then Mina looked out of sorts as well. So it was like against Man when he's come back, when he's had the rest. So I mean, we need Godfrey in, but it's a sort of being a bit of a detrimental effect on a back line, because at the end of the day, we're only in the FA Cup and we're in the Premier League. I know there's like quite a bit of like fixture builds up in that, but at the end of the day, we're only playing in the league and the FA Cup now.
Yeah.
So I think I do understand where rotations came from, but you've got to have a settled back four.
Yeah. No, I agree.
We've got to. I mean, listen, the only man who I mean, let's be honest, you can't get rid of Luka Dean.
Yeah.
He's one of our best players. So the only really one that you can sort of look at and think, well, Keane and Mina are very good together. And listen, I know they conceded 2 goals from set pieces, but in the whole grand scheme of things, they've been very solid. I mean, the stats that Mina was putting out against was it Leeds, or was it got the highest clearances or something like that?
Yeah, it was I think the most headed clearances an Everton player's had in a Premier League game for 3 years or something like that. It's
absolutely nuts. So I think we all agree that Keane and Mina are probably the best pair, because they probably bring out the best of each other. I mean, Mina was a little bit hot and cold at the start of the season, but he's so vital.
Yeah.
He's such a vital part of Everton's sense of defending. So you go Keane and Mina, and Godfrey's got to play right back for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Holgate played well, but you've got to have Godfrey in the sides. You just can't. Like I was discussing on things on like Twitter, and we've discussed it, haven't we? I mean, as time goes on, who knows where Godfrey's going to be, but it could be a detriment to him because he's so versatile. I mean, the lad could play up front and do a job the way he carries on. I mean, as time goes on, does Carlo see him as a versatile player? Because listen, at the end of the day, like a lot of very good teams have these versatile players. I mean, they've had them right across the whole of the Premier League. So, but he has got to play.
Yeah,
he has got to play. I mean, the only real thing is right back for me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think you're spot on. Like you mentioned, the defence yesterday, it was a very unlike Everton performance. And I know we conceded 3 at Old Trafford, and again, we were all sitting there against Manchester United, and when those balls were coming into the box, and when Cavani scored his opening goal, and McTominay scored the 3rd, I was certainly sitting there saying, if Yerry Mina's on this pitch, we don't concede them. Now, obviously, Yerry played yesterday, and we conceded a couple of aerial, goals. But like you said, I was going off of what this season in the Leeds game, he was absolutely exceptional. exceptional. Everything that went in the air, he dealt with. So I think it was sort of maybe just a one-off poor performance for both centre-half, certainly in terms of not being able to deal with much in the air, and I think Tottenham capitalised on that. But I completely agree with you, Tom. I think when you look at this defence, and Carlo Ancelotti looks at this defence, he's got... I think the rotation has, on one hand, given him a lot of options, but on another hand, sort of, you know, I don't want to say it's messed with a system that's working, but we've had multiple systems that work this season, put it that way. Mina and Keane at centre-half have worked fantastically. We had Dean and Coleman at full-back for the first 7-8 games of the season. We were unbeaten, we were fantastic, that worked. Now we've brought in Ben Godfrey, and as soon as Ben Godfrey's put that Everton shirt on and ran out onto the pitch, every single one of us has said he has to play every week now, because like you said, he's so versatile. I mean, look at yesterday, Ben Godfrey played left-back, right-back and centre-back yesterday. He was everywhere, he was running all around the pitch, he was absolutely quality, he was covering everywhere, and even in the 98th minute, in the last 5 to 10 minutes of extra time, Ben Godfrey still got that turn of pace to beat Son. I mean, Son's, you know, one of Tottenham's best players, one of the best players, best attackers in the league, and Ben Godfrey's beating him for pace after, you know, an hour and a half of football played. So he absolutely has to play there. And then you've got Mason Holgate, who's been doing well recently, probably not as well as Ben, but still has been putting in decent performances. You've got Seamus Coleman, who is the club captain again, come on yesterday in a more of an attacking role, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the team, and I thought he done really well yesterday, Seamus Coleman. I just thought he come on and showed it up a little bit, and he had that professional mind to know, okay, I'll keep hold of the ball here instead of giving it away. But I think that was a big part of our problem as well in the opening 10 or 15 minutes, Tom, as we were giving the ball away quite sloppily. I mean, besides Tom Davies, who we will go on to talk about in a moment, because he was absolutely pearl-like, he was exceptional. Everybody else was quite sloppy in possession. Yerry Mina and Keane were giving the ball away. Michael Keane were giving the ball away sloppily. I think Ben Godfrey gave it away once or twice. Luca Dean had given it away a couple of times defensively as well. And like you said, we just invited that pressure on. And you're spot on. Robin Olsen made a couple of really big saves. At 0-0, he made a massive save where it was a scare. I think it was Son. Son headed it, didn't he? And he makes a save down, and it was literally 30 seconds later the corner comes in.
Yeah, well, I think just after that as well, I think Son turned and got a shot off, and I think it was just had a good eye for Olsen, but that was in the space of 5 minutes. I mean, there was 2 or 3 where you thought, oh, they should have buried it there. But, you know, he done his job, really, and that's what you want, don't you? I mean, he sort of made up for the Man U mistakes, but he's just a solid keeper.
I mean, that's it. He's a decent option, isn't he?
Yeah, I think fans have got to realise. I think, like we've seen it over like the course of the last 3 or 4 years in the Premier League. City had this issue with goalkeepers. Liverpool have had this issue with goalkeepers. Manchester United had an issue with the goalkeeper. They went out and bought them. I mean, look at Chelsea. Yeah, that's a massive detriment to their title challenge and everything. So, and even look at it last night. I didn't think Lloris covered himself in quite glory. I mean, that Calvert-Lewin goal, I mean, listen, if that was Pickford, I know everyone says it, but if that was Pickford in that Tottenham goal, I mean, he'd be getting absolutely lynched.
He'd be getting
penalties. I mean, a shot straight at you and you parry it into your own goal. Yeah. I mean, it was. I think in the studio, Rio Ferdinand and that was. They
ripped into bits, didn't they?
They were saying it was shocking, and it was. I thought it just got like cut, like the commentators just like bypassed it a little bit. I was like, that's terrible. Yeah. But listen, it's the way it's gonna be, and it'll be very interesting to see what Carlo Ancelotti does between Olsen and Pickford, because the weird thing is, I mean, if you combine them together, they'd be brilliant. Yeah.
If they had a love child, it'd be excellent.
I mean, you just put them both in goal. Yeah. But if you combine the both things, they're probably a brilliant goalkeeper. I mean, the thing is with me with Olsen is he doesn't come off his line enough. Yeah. That's my one of my pet. I mean, Tim Howard used to give me nightmares every year. I mean, he just wouldn't come off his line. It drove me insane at some points. But that's one issue where I think Pickford's so good at coming off his line. Yeah. But in the same breath, I think Olsen's better in sort of coming and catching balls and things like that, because he's just a bigger frame. Yeah. He doesn't really flap at balls, you know what I mean? He comes and collects. So it's a toss-up really going into the next round of fixtures. I mean, what would you go for? What would you?
I think.
I mean, would you sort of bench Olsen after it? You know what I mean? Would it be unfair?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because I think he's done really well since he's come in. I mean, I think he done brilliantly against Leeds, which was the first game he was in for. Come in at Old Trafford and look, the third goal, he gets his feet caught, and I put it down as an individual mistake, but I think he slips and gets his feet caught in the ground. The Fernandes one, I think he should do better.
Yeah, I agreed on both of them. I mean, I've seen some people saying like sort of letting him off. Listen, he was about a yard and a half off his line, and he saw like the way Fernandes hits it. It's not like it's swirling.
Yeah,
it's just like a curled.
It's like a chip
over him.
Yeah,
and I mean, it was just like I looked at that a few times. Thought he should have that.
Yeah.
And me personally, I'll be honest with you, I thought Pickford would have saved that. That's how mad it is. I personally think Pickford would have put that over the bar.
Yeah.
He's just very good. Very reactive goalkeeper, Pickford, and I think he would have saved it. And I think he'd have saved the free kick as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like it sort of balances itself out really on both mistakes, but it's an hard one. It is a hard one. And listen, who'd have Carlo Ancelotti's job?
Yeah, that's it. I'll tell you what, he needs a couple more of those fine Italian coffees. I'll tell you that.
It's a good thing he's already grey.
That's it.
Because we normally turn managers grey anyway.
That's it. He's bypassed that bit of the Everton curse, hasn't he already? You know that's been void since he's come in. But like you said, you know we can see the silly goal early on, and I completely agree with what you said before. I think it's just another case of Everton not waking up and not being aware of the danger and maybe not coming out and not being up for it straight away. And as soon as Spurs capitalised on that, they had a couple of chances where you know maybe you would have liked us to go, oh okay, these have got an opportunity of scoring here. These are coming forward at a decent attacking side. We didn't wake up until we conceded, and then it was another case, Tom, of that 10 minutes of madness, 10 minutes of magic, 10 minutes of just unbelievable scenes like it was at Old Trafford, where, you know, within, like I said, the blink of an eye, Everton not only equalised, but we're 3-1 up. I mean, the first goal, of course, comes from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's a mistake from Toby Alderweireld. It come actually a couple of minutes after Dominic Calvert-Lewin had hit the post. I think he'd had a shot, and Hugo Lloris had made a decent save down to his left-hand side, and Dom had struck the post. And again, that had been forced from a mistake as well. So you were thinking at that point, right, okay, Everton are on the... you know, we're getting into the game a little bit more now. I wouldn't say we were controlling, because, you know, Tottenham was still coming forward and still had a couple of balls into the box and a couple of opportunities, but we're starting to get into it going forward now. And then, like I said, Toby Alderweireld makes a mistake. Dominic Calvert-Lewin capitalises on it. It's an excellent volley. It's hit well. I agree completely. If that's Everton, if we concede that goal, I'm absolutely furious. Quite similar to the first goal that we scored against Leeds a week or so ago. If we'd have conceded that goal, I'd have been absolutely fuming. Same with this one. I think Lloris probably should do better. It's hit near enough straight at him. I understand it's hit with a lot of power. He tipped it into the roof of the net, and, you know, we're level, and you're sort of thinking, right, okay, you know, get rid of that bad start now and let's go and capitalise on this. And that's exactly what we did, didn't we, Tom? Literally a couple of minutes later, another really, really good bit of play. Luca Dean gets the ball, passes it to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he flicks it exceptionally to Richarlison, and Richarlison is well and truly back. We'll talk about his other goal a little bit later on in the stream, mate, but what an excellent finish that was. Just when you think he's taking it too wide, he's taking it too out of sight of goal, he cuts it across, and I don't think there's anything Lloris can do about that. It's a perfectly weighted finish into the bottom corner, and that's what we've needed from Richarlison, isn't it? And within the blink of the eye, Everton have gone from being 1-0 down and not looking very good to being 2-1 up and thinking, right, let's go and capitalise on this now. Like I said, then we started to see the individual performers. Tom Davies, for me, throughout the game was quality, but then we started to see Decore and how well he was playing. Sigurdsson started to get into the game a lot more. Obviously, again, defensively, balls coming into the box, we struggled, but passing, we were giving less balls away, we were making less mistakes, we were keeping hold of possession a lot better. But that goal from Richarlison, that is exactly what he's needed, isn't it, Tom, for weeks now?
Yeah, it was well beyond doubt that he needed a goal. I mean, he's a bit of an emotional player, Richarlison. I mean, you can just tell I wouldn't say selfish. I just think he wants the team to do good, but also he wants himself to do good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the type of player he is. I mean, you can see when others score, he's happy, but he's like, I wish that was me, kind of situation. But isn't it? I mean, before that all happened, I mean, there was a passage of play where, like you said, Calvert-Lewin nearly scored. I mean, I think it was deflected, just about deflected. He was unlucky nearly. And then just after that, that chance Son had, and Olsen saved brilliantly. I mean, the game was in the balance then, and then the first Everton goal was, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen Everton press.
Yeah.
So high up in all my life. I mean,
making the most of mistakes from other teams.
I mean, it was so. I think I was confused as well because I've never seen that from Everton.
Yeah,
I've never seen Everton or an Everton team go press a team. I mean, even when you look at the stats this season, we don't press. We're not a pressing side. So for us to just all of a sudden start pressing, I mean, Sigurdsson pushed on, and I think it was a Wobie, Calvert-Lewin, and it was a lovely little. I don't know whether it was Decore. I'm trying to think whether it was Decore and a Wobie, and he got the ball, but I think Decore took it off Højbjerg, and he done like a little 1-2 with he done a little 1-2 with a Wobie. He gave it to Wobie, and Wobie played to Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin just does a little flick, or I think it was Sigur. I don't know how it went. It was sort of like a flick over, and then he's just in.
Yeah.
And then he's just put his. That's what they say, don't they, to kids and all that, when they just put your laces through it.
That's it.
I mean, he's just put his laces through it, and that's how you get it done, really. I mean, everything, it is. I thought it was. I was just looking dead quick at the goal. It was lovely bit of passage of play. I mean, Decore wins it. A Wobie gets it, gives it to Sigurdsson lets it run to Dom, and Dom just fires it. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant goal. And then going on to Richarlison, I mean, the lad has been so desperate for this goal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been absolutely screaming for it. And I mean, I was watching him, and I'm thinking about Richarlison. I mean, you're trying to think what's the best way to get like his strengths. And to me personally, looking at him over this year, I don't think he wants to play left wing.
Yeah.
I'm convinced he doesn't want to play it. I mean, I feel like he's just sort of doing a job, but he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, he'd rather be up front.
And I think he wants to be up front. And his first goal, if you notice, he's up with Calvert-Lewin in the on the two centre halves.
Yeah.
And again, Dean wins it high up and just gives it to Dom. And I mean, this is unbelievable,
isn't it?
Oh, I mean, that's gone under the radar, I think, personally. I mean, when has Calvert-Lewin ever done things like this?
Yeah.
I mean, there's one against James Rodriguez was outrageous against who was it against? It was our last home game, I think it was. I think we got beat, so I think it was against Newcastle. Yeah, his flick between the lines was unbelievable. Yeah. And then he just does a nice little flick out, and listen, the finish is just spectacular, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
You just put it bottom left, and goalie's got no chance, and then all of a sudden you see it, don't you? Confidence just oozing, just absolutely flying.
That's it, and I think he needed that so much, like you mentioned, Richarlison, because he's had opportunities in recent weeks, the last couple of games or so. He's had chances where he's been in a better position than that. He's been, sometimes he's been 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, or he's been one defender away, and you used to Richarlison hitting the target, and he's either hit it wide or he's ran into a defender, and you can see every time he makes a mistake or every time something doesn't go his way, you can literally see on his face how frustrated and how upset he is with himself. And I completely agree with you. Richarlison's an emotional player, and that's why I'll back him, to the hilt, because I don't think it's a case of, he doesn't want to play for Everton or he's not happy when we win. He's absolutely happy when we win, and that's why you see him jumping around, and he's always one of the first to be involved in the celebrations, and he's always smiling. But I agree, he's also sort of thinking, I want to do more here, I want to get more involved. Yeah. I seen a tweet yesterday that said, look at where we are in the league and how well we've been playing recently, and the fact that we're a couple couple of points away from top 4 with 2 games in hand. We're in a quarter-final of an FA Cup, and Richarlison, who last season was our most influential player, the season before was our most influential player, hasn't been on form this season. Imagine where it would be if Richarlison had done what he's done in the last couple of seasons or so, scoring constantly, week in, week out, taking men on like we know he can do. And that's why I've always backed Richarlison, because I know what he can do and I know how good he can be. And okay, recently he struggled, and he has had a little bit of a lapses in concentration at times, and that confidence seemed to have drained out of him. But yesterday, that was an absolutely excellent finish. And when he got the ball in that area, I thought he's taken this too wide here. He hasn't been in great goal scoring form. It's going to take a lot for this to go in. But the finish, he finished like a player who's scoring every week, didn't he? That confidence that all of a sudden we'd been talking about maybe he's lacking recently, it just seemed to have all come back in the split of an eye. Like you said, the ball, the flick from Dominic Calvert-Lewin has gone massively underappreciated. If it's a number of other Premier League players that play for certain other clubs, they'd still be talking about it now. It's absolutely excellent. He plays it, and I've seen so many Spurs fans say, "Oh, that's a defensive error. That's a defensive error. That we defended awfully." No. You just got outplayed. It's just a fantastic bit of play. It's a brilliant flick, and it's an excellent goal. And like you said, Tom, he's needed.
Listen. You go watch it back.
Yeah.
That's all I say. And forget Spurs fans, because they're gonna just start. I mean, as a pure Everton fan, just go look at that little. It was just bouncing everywhere, and Luca Dean just sort of puts it up.
Yeah.
To Calvert-Lewin, he just does. Oh, it's just brilliant. I mean, I've been so critical of Calvert-Lewin, because at the end of the day, you know that lad wants to be talked about as elite striker.
Yeah,
he has the attitude, so you've got to critique him as
an elite striker.
You've got to. You can't sort of put him in the bracket as, say, a Patrick Bamford. Like, he's far better than Patrick. He's levels above Patrick Bamford. But when he comes out, and the way he talks and the way he speaks, he wants to be in that Lewandowski, Haaland, Aguero. He wants to be in that top bracket.
Yeah.
So you've got to judge him as that.
Yeah.
So you've got to be critical of him in certain instances. And my biggest issue was with him is that he doesn't create his own chances, and that he weren't creating for others.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, he's just turned into this creative thing. I mean, he's just adding each thing to his arsenal now. Yeah. He's adding each thing. He couldn't get it, like last season. You look at it, right? He couldn't really sniff out a chance or know where to be.
Yeah.
But that's being coached into him. He's got that now, so that's got put into the bag.
Yeah.
Now he's like, right, well, how can I improve? Now I've got to create. Now he's creating. It's just. I thought, right, in my head, I thought it weren't like a natural ability, but you always had like a bit of a knack.
Yeah.
If you couldn't really coach how to put a player to like sniff out an opportunity.
Yeah, it's natural.
Like you can sort of tell them to be in certain areas.
Yeah.
But this lad's just all of a sudden just become this brilliant striker, and it's like, where does this come from?
Yeah.
Who is this down to? And then you can sort of give credit to Ancelotti, but you've got to give massive credit to Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah.
But all of it is down to him.
Yeah.
He's the perfect example of a lad who has just put his head down and just improved,
Yeah.
and hats off to him. He's been my player of the year for me personally.
Yeah. No, I agree, absolutely, and I completely agree with what you're saying as well. And still now, like you said, you have to critique Dominic Calvert-Lewin in that bracket of the best strikers in world football, and I've been critical of Dom in recent weeks when he's missed one-on-one opportunities, or, he had one against Manchester United prior to him scoring the equaliser where he goes one-on-one with De Gea and he puts it wide, and you'd have to critique him for that, because he doesn't want to be seen as in the bracket of, oh yeah, he missed that, but he's not, you don't expect that. The expectation is that he scores that goal. And I've got no worries whatsoever and no doubts whatsoever that Dominic Calvert-Lewin will go away in the summer. He'll work on everything that he knows he's good at, and he'll work on everything he knows he's not good at.
He'll be in the European Championships. Yeah. He's going.
Well, yeah.
100%.
Well, after them, then hopefully he doesn't pick up an injury.
How can you not take him?
True.
He's 100% going.
True.
I mean, if it's on, but I think it is going to be on. But he's 100% going.
Yeah.
You just there's no one else there. Like you can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was an interview with him with I think it might have been Alex Iwobi. It might have been. It was an Everton player, and they were talking about training, and they were asked about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and specifically this point of Dom's improvement and how good he's been, in the last 12 months or so. And I think it was Alex Iwobi, but he turned around and he said, Dom's the player that at the end of training, when everybody's done their bits and people are getting ready to go home, he's begging Duncan Ferguson, he's pestering Duncan Ferguson to stay for another hour, another 2 hours, and throw balls into the box. He said all Dominic Calvert-Lewin ever asks after training is challenge me here, give balls to me, throw balls into the box, play me in, I want to continue to train. And you're right, that's that mentality, that's that attitude, isn't it? And that's why I think Carlo Ancelotti loves Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I think that's why he put his arm around him when he first come into the football club and compared him to the, some of the great strikers that he's ever played, that he's ever managed. And although I think Carlo Ancelotti believes in Dom's talent, I also think he looked at him straight from the off and went, this kid's, not only is he very good, but he's very dedicated, so I'll take a risk of putting my arm around him and saying you're going to be absolutely world class, because I can see the time and energy that he's putting into it. Yeah, it's his attitude.
It's just elite level attitude. That's all I can put it down to. I mean, the lads has got this. It's weird because he's sort of built this aura around him now that he's gonna be world class.
Yeah.
He's what, 22, 23?
23, I think, yeah.
And then all of a sudden in just over a year, he's developed into this like top level Premier League striker.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got it. We've had like a proper rough diamond, and now slowly but surely the edges are starting to get polished on him. And he listen, when he's next year or year after, when another year or another time in the Premier League with obviously better players coming into Everton and all things like that. Listen, you look at his stats as in terms of his XG and things like that. I mean, and his goal conversion rate's just stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't. The funny thing is, I seen a tweet the other day. It's like, would you rather have a player who like sort of just gets good shots off, or would you rather have a player who just got like going off his goal scoring and rating him? Thing is with me is that Dom's, for one, not getting the chances, and two, when he does get the chances, he buries them.
Yeah,
like you said though, like there's still certain things to iron out where, me personally, like his one-on-one things, that's got to change. That has, for Everton for us to even start considering us going into that next bracket of like Champions League, he's got to bury them.
Yeah, and
that's where we've got to be critical, unfortunately. And I think, personally, I don't think he'd take that personally.
No, I think he'd like that. Yeah,
I think listen, I know we're talking about, you look at Ben Godfrey, he's like captain material, and then you look at Calvert-Lewin, he's captain material.
Yeah, definitely.
So the funny thing is really, is that we've been searching for these captains, spending all kinds of money on them, and we've got one who we paid $1 million for, and we brought one in from Norwich.
Yeah.
So it's nuts how football works.
It's crazy, and like you said, he was excellent yesterday, and Dom deserves every bit of credit, and a lot of credit goes to Carlo, and a lot of credit goes to Duncan Ferguson, but every bit of credit has to go to that lad. I remember watching the videos in lockdown, the first lockdown, when football was suspended, and yes, I'm sure that every other player done the regimes that they were given by the club and done the extra bit of training, but every 10 minutes Dominic Calvert-Lewin was on Twitter either doing keepy-ups with a tennis ball, doing press-ups, doing sit-ups on the treadmill, and you might look at that and go, oh, that's great, Dom's keeping fit, but that's the dedication, that's the the want to improve. And he scored his 50th Everton goal yesterday. Massive congratulations to Dom, of course, and I can only see him improving, and it's statistically Dominic Calvert-Lewin has improved every single year he's been at Everton Football Club, which shows his desire and shows his his want to get better and his ability as well, and I've got every confidence he'll continue to do that.
That type of attitude in a professional capacity in a team so infectious.
Yeah. Like
that sort of having that round of squad can only lift others.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what you want in a football club. I mean, he's a model professional.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And these model professionals, you can see it like Lewandowski's a massive example of that, because he wasn't this sort of sought after striker. I mean, at one point he was nearly going to Blackburn.
Yeah.
while he was in Poland, and he went to Dortmund, and he's just totally, he switched his attitude, and he fought, like, you hear top athletes talk about this, they always say work rate and always training and all things like that, and he's got it, and hats off to him, it's absolutely brilliant. But I ask you a question, and this is what I've been trying to play in my head, is that we've got like James Rodriguez, and we've got like everyone's going on about saying that we haven't got many options, but when you look at the front four, in my opinion, I think there's so many options to like switch around things and all that. When Carlo Ancelotti come in, he played Dom and Richarlison up front, and it worked wonders, didn't it? Would you start looking at that, looking at the end of the next, how long games left have we got, like 50, 16, 17, something like that have we got left?
I think it's
me personally, I would.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, and I think one thing that's going to be telling is you mentioned about Richarlison there, and we'll talk about his goal a little bit more in a second. Absolutely fantastic finish, and you're right, he sort of adopted that centre forward role a little bit. He then, of course, went to a striker when Dominic Calvert-Lewin went out. He got a second goal. He looks much more comfortable, and I actually think, again, obviously we don't know the severity of the situation with Dominic Calvert-Lewin yet. That hasn't been released or announced, and I'm sure we'll probably find out in Carlo Ancelotti's press conference tomorrow, but that my assumption would be if Dominic Calvert-Lewin is out, let's just say for a couple of weeks for argument's sake, it might be more, it might be less, I would assume that Richarlison would fit into that role at centre forward. Now Carlo might bring Josh King in as a centre forward and keep Richarlison on the wing. He might bring Josh King in on the wing and put Richarlison centre forward, but I think Richie will be the first person knocking on Carlo's door saying, I want to play there. Now that Dom's out for a couple of weeks and he's got to be rested and he's got to have the time, I want to play there. I want to show what I can do.
I think he will.
And I do as well. And you know, if we, let's say I go 2 weeks, 3 weeks without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which we don't want, and of course, because he's so important to this side and he's absolutely fantastic and he's a goal-scoring machine. But if we go those 3 weeks and Richarlison all of a sudden in 2 or 3 games, let's say, and again, we don't know how long Dom's going to be out for, I'm just guessworking here, but let's just say he's out for 3 games and Richarlison turns up against Fulham, City and Liverpool and bags a goal or maybe 2 goals in each game, then we're...
Just save all 5 for that Liverpool game.
Yeah, and just do the flat back 4 against City. Just get a 0-0.
Don't score against Fulham, City, don't worry, just score 5 straight all against them, and then I'll be happy with that.
Well, exactly. But if he does that and he knocks on Carlo's door, and then we're all sitting here in however many weeks' time when Dominic Calvert-Lewin returns to fitness, again, we don't know, hopefully it's not too serious, and we're sitting here saying, well, hang on, Richarlison's just gone however many games there, consistently scoring and looking absolutely fantastic, like he was last season, like he was the season before. So then the real discussion's there then, and then I think Richarlison will be knocking, saying, look, I want to play as a centre forward, I want to play alongside Dom, or, you know, maybe as a vice versa to Dom. But again, I think, like you said, mate, he showed that last night. His first finish is excellent. It's a fantastic goal. It's a brilliant flick by Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and that's what those two bring. They've got such a good combination, and we need to see more of that. We see a lot of James creating for Dom. We see a lot of Luca Dean creating for Dom. I'd love to see more of Dom creating for Richie and vice versa, because I think they've got a really good partnership, and also it would massively benefit Everton. And he moved into that sort of centre-forward role, and it kick-started a mad sort of 10 minutes. We go 2-1 up. You're sort of thinking, right, okay, we're 2-1 up. Don't concede. Now, we will get in the comments in a moment, by the way. A massive thanks to everybody for watching live. If you are enjoying, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share the live stream. We will get into the comments in a second. And we go up the other end again. Gylfi Sigurdsson takes the ball. I can't remember who played it to him, but he takes the ball out of the air absolutely exquisitely.
I think it was Luca Dean. Or
was it Dean played it over the top?
Yeah, Dean. I mean, no, never in doubt really when it's on the left-hand side, is it?
That's it. But he takes it down. He takes it down excellently, Sigurdsson.
Sigurdsson to me last night, mate, was just, like you said, it was just so weird.
Yeah, it was a mad performance.
I hated him, but then I loved him. I was like, dude, this just shows what his career is being about, hasn't it? It's just, I've never seen him get his legs so high in all my life.
Yeah, exactly. And the irony is, he gets it high and he takes it down, completely down. He plays in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's running in. I think it's Højbjerg chips him. He might mean to trip him, but it doesn't matter.
Do you think it was a pen?
I think it's a penalty, yeah, because I think if you make contact in any form in the box, it's a penalty nowadays. We can have the argument all day about should it be or shouldn't it be, but that's
a lot of people saying intent. I mean, intent's irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Intent went out the window last year when VAR come in. If you want to talk about intent, bloody hell, David Luiz got sent off in a penalty given against him because the striker kicked him in the foot. So if there's contact, but that's what I love about Dom, and that's another thing that Dom has brought to his game that he didn't have 2 years ago, is when he's not looking for the contact per se, maybe he is, but when he feels it, he's going down. Dom's gone from being a very honest player, which you've got to command, because he's an honest lad and he's a lovely lad, but in modern day football, you can't be like that. Could Dom have stayed on his feet then? Probably, but he knows if I stay on my feet, the ball's going out and I'm running out with it. I've felt contact, I'm going down, it's a penalty, and no one can argue about it. And that, again, another big plus talking point for Dom is seeing that danger and feeling that content and go.
It's Calvert-Lewin loving, isn't it?
It is. We may as well just call it Calvert-Lewin, his boss. But he goes down, we win the pen, and credit to Gylfi, he takes it, coolly slots it, 3-1 up, and you really are thinking, Tom, right, see this half out now, don't concede again. We've turned it round in 7 minutes again. I don't know what's happened. That's just about got over us turning it around against United in 10 minutes. We've gone and done it again against Spurs. Just see this half out now. And we'd have been sitting there at half time going, neither team was brilliant. There's been 4 goals. We're 3-1 up, boss. But again, last kick of the game in the first half, invited pressure on us. It's another individual mistake. This time, Yerry Mina gives it away stupidly. I think it's Lamela goes straight past him.
It's a 1-2 with Son around around Mina, and he just flicks it over Olsen.
Puts him on his arse, and it was a very similar goal to Richarlison's in the second half, and Bernard's actually. He gets on that tight left angle and he just fires it into the corner of the net, and all of a sudden we've gone from 3-1 up, and I want to say comfortable. I also don't want to say comfortable because it was mad, because I don't think we played particularly well whatsoever. But 3-1 up and if you get to half time, you calm it down and you are comfortable, to 3-2 and inviting pressure on. And what were your sort of thoughts at half time then? Because like I said, it was a 5-goal half, but it was absolutely crazy because I don't think neither team played particularly well. It was a game and a half of defensive, well, certainly from Everton's point of view, defensive mistakes. We played some brilliant football at times. The second Richarlison's goal is absolutely excellent. They made a mistake for Dom's. They made a mistake for the penalty. So what were you sort of thinking at half time? Were you thinking, right, these are gonna get a third now and these are gonna get back into the game?
Well, my half time analysis was baffled, confused, happy, ecstatic, and bamboozled.
And I don't think you could put it any better than that, to be honest.
I didn't even nearly, I normally put out on Twitter sort of a bit of an assessment of the half, and I was just so confused by it all. It was hard to sort of analyse in a sense, because it was just, I didn't think, like you said, I didn't think we played well, but we were 3-1 up. The first 10 minutes was terrible. We went 1-0 down, then went 3-1 up, then 3-2, and it was just we were playing 2 different games. I mean, the defensive side was poor, but the attacking side was brilliant. Yeah. So it's hard to sort of critique when we haven't been that good at attacking, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was an hard one. I was I was just hoping the madness would stop. Yeah. But that was probably a silly thing to think of.
And it didn't stop.
Yeah, well, I just thought 3-2, right? Just let's come out now and let's just kill it.
Yeah.
Sort of just give us an opportunity to just get back. Let 10 minutes of the half go, or 15 minutes, and then just let's just bore it. Yeah. Let's just do a boring sort of second half. I quite took it, but obviously it didn't, and like you say, I mean, the set piece, it just reared its head again. I mean, if you take them two set pieces out, we it's a comfortable win nearly for Everton.
Yeah, and that's where I think. Oh, sorry, mate, go on.
No, I was just thinking. I hope I just don't ever see Sigurdsson marking a centre half who can jump at the same height as Calvert-Lewin ever again in my life.
Well, that's where the confusion about Sigurdsson's performance comes on, doesn't it? And we'll talk a little bit more about him in a bit. But again, you know, for both of those goals, the first and the third, both of Sanchez's goals, I think he's at fault. I think for the pair of them, instead of, and I know he probably doesn't win the jump, and but if he goes for the jump, then we can sit here and say, right, it's very clear there that it's a mismatch. You know, Sanchez is taller, he's better in the air, he's more of a presence. Sigurdsson's jumped, he's got nowhere near him, but I just don't even think he makes the attempt. He's sort of just looking at his chest, and he's looking more to push him over. And I actually think with that second Sanchez goal, where I think it's headed on or a deflection, and then it falls to him and he kicks it in, I think if he doesn't score that, VAR gives a penalty, because Sigurdsson's all over him and he's going down, and it's only that he sticks a foot out and hits it with his foot as he's getting pulled to the floor. And then you're sort of looking at Sigurdsson and you're thinking, what have you done? You know, you've had an awful game here, you've been at fault for 2 goals, and then you sort of think, well, hang on, he scored a penalty, to be fair. And you know, you go again and you think, well, he won the penalty as well. And then further on in the game, he's created 3 goals as well. And it was a mad game, but like you said, you know, we go in at half time 3-2. I agree with you. I was sort of thinking, just come out now and just don't concede. Just withstand the pressure for the opening 10 or 15 minutes, and then just see the game out and maybe hit them on the break and go again. Because defensively, I thought they were very susceptible, and there wasn't one moment in that first half or even in the second half, other than when they had a set piece or when they had a corner, where I genuinely thought Tottenham were playing. I mean, the first 25 minutes, yeah, okay, but as soon as we scored the opening goal, from that point on, there wasn't one moment I thought Tottenham were playing excellent football here. They're running rings around us. They're gonna come and hurt us. It was always a sloppy pass to give them possession, and then they win a free kick, and that's when you're thinking, oh, a ball in the box. And that's so unlike Everton, because usually we deal with balls into the box quite comfortably, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I know we keep harping on about these setups, but it was even weird the way they set up Yerry Mina. I mean, he was just sort of, it was a strange one with Mina, because I think for what I'm used to seeing Everton, Mina's normally in that front post area, and he's normally the first port of contact really to just clear things away. Now they sort of switch Mina to go sort of back post, and me personally, I'd have to look back at Everton's previous corner, but to me it's sort of like something's changed a bit, sort of like they're trying something new when they don't have to. So when you look at the setup, you've got Luca Dean and Sigurdsson not facing the ball. They're facing the man. So Luca Dean's, I think I don't know who Luca Dean got. He might have that's it. I'm sorry, I've just got it up there quick. Luca Dean's marking Alderweireld. I couldn't believe it. That shocked me more than the Sigurdsson. And then you've got Sigurdsson marking Sanchez
after the first goal as well.
Yeah, and then you've got Mina, Keane, and Godfrey with Decore and Coleman in a line, zonal marking. Yeah. Now, it looks new to me. That looks new to me, that they're trying something. Now, necessarily, I don't like that, because I can see Kane running off Keane. And I personally think Keane prefers to be in touch, having contact with the defender. Yeah. I don't think he necessarily, because with Keane, I don't think he necessarily knows what he's doing. Yeah. He knows what he's doing when he's got a man marking. He's just so much better. But it's a bit of a disaster, to be honest with you. I mean, Alderweireld gets the flick on between Coleman and Dean, and you think, how's that? I mean, my focus was on Sanchez, but the person who scored the goal, I mean, he's up against a 5'9" fella who plays left back. I mean, that might be a bit of a cynical thing to say, but me personally, I think you go man for man.
Yeah, you've got to have your tallest players and your best aerial players marking the aerial threat to the opposition. Yeah,
I mean, and I understand the fact that like you zonal marking, but you've got to put the right players in the right zones. Yeah, that's the key for me. I mean, the Yerry Mina's stats speak for themselves. How many balls go over the first man? Yeah, I'd like to see that stats, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd be very surprised if they go over the first man ever a lot. Yeah. I mean, you've got to put in first port of call, and then that sort of, all you had to do there, if you changed Mina for Godfrey, I personally don't think that goes in.
No, I agree.
So there's just little tweaks like that, and listen, it's nitpicking, but David Ancelotti's been brilliant, but I think he's got a little bit too big for his boots on that one.
When we concede 4 at home, even when we win, which is absolutely mad.
Two at corners.
You'd have to sort of look at it, even when we have been so good recently. I do want to move on to talk about individual performances as well. We'll talk about the Everton spirit to get back into it. Let's get in the live comments though before we do so. Loads of live comments. Massive thank you to everybody for joining us live today. Really do appreciate it. Over 50 people watching. If you are enjoying it, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Share the live stream. Let's try and get as many people involved as we possibly can. Liam says, alright Cam lad, that game had me shaking like mad. What a result. Davis was mustard for me. Standout. Richie and so many others. Quality though. We're going to talk about Tom in a second. Philip says, hey guys, good to see you. Tom is right, Phil. Gord says, I was checking my phone at work every few minutes and it seemed like was a goal scored every single time. Well, there was, mate. It was crazy. Phil says, proof is in the pudding, and the old saying, the proof refers to the alcohol content. The more the better, so the proof's in the pudding. Ian says, marvellous feeling today is right, Ian. Jared says, is Richie finally back? Let's hope so. We're going to talk about his second goal in a moment. Philip says, zoom in on the pick. It's hot rum toddy. Manuel says, DCL definitely missing on Sunday against Fulham and a major doubt for Tuesday against City. Well, maybe that's where Richarlison's got to step up now in that central forward role, or Josh King, of course. It'd be interesting to see who Carlo decides to go with. Charles says, hey everybody. He also says, better work on corners. Spot on, mate. Ian says, maybe Mina and Keane have not appreciated their rest with the rotation, not played together for 2 or 3 games. Yeah, maybe, mate. But like we said before, it's difficult when you've got somebody like Godfrey who has to be in this Everton team week in, week out. You've got Luca Dean, who's the best left back in the country for me. You've got Mason, who's been doing well as well. So it's a headache for Carlo Ancelotti, and maybe he was drinking some, liquid paracetamol or something.
I think it might have been an Irish coffee.
I would bet that it definitely had alcohol content in, because to watch Everton Football Club live in the freezing cold in extra time, having conceded 4 at home and scored 5 at home, I'd probably be drinking some alcohol as well. Everton Blue says, hey Cam, love the vids. This game shows the type of manager we have. If we had Marco Silva, we would have never won the game and done as this season we march on with Carlo's Blue Army. Is right. John says, if Dom is missing, how do you see the City and Liverpool game going? It'll be difficult, of course, because Dom's such a pivotal part to our team, and he brings such an aerial presence. But I agree with Tom. If you put Richie up front,
has there actually been any news about Lou? Is it his? I thought it was his knee.
It's his hamstring, I think. Carlo. Well, Duncan Ferguson first. Michael says, amazing night. It certainly was. Duncan Ferguson had his post-game interview yesterday, and he was asked about Dom, and he said, yeah, he's tweaked his hamstring. He could be in a wee bit of trouble. That was just in passing conversation. And then Alan Myers and a couple of other people put out a tweet today to state that he'll undergo a scan on a hamstring injury to see the severity of it. So it is his hamstring. As to how long he'll be out for, again, we don't know. I suppose we'll either find out today if it's serious, via Everton on Twitter or something, or Carlo Ancelotti will just address it tomorrow. But if we don't find out tonight, we'll definitely be finding out tomorrow in Carlo's press conference. But it'll be difficult without Dom, of course it will, but that's where you'd have to adapt. And ultimately, we've played a large portion of games now without Alan, who's been absolutely excellent. And obviously Tom Davis has stepped in and done a great job, we will talk about in a second. We've played a lot of games without Richarlison towards the start of the season. We adapted Luca Dean, of course, who, when Luca Dean was injured, we all thought, right, that's it, end of the world. Now Ben Godfrey steps in and does an amazing job. So it's all about adaptation, and if Dom is out for a sustained period of time, then we will have to adapt. The hope is that he's come off, and hopefully, a little bit like James, where he said to Carlo, look, I'm feeling this a little bit here, and Carlo sort of said, right, were you coming off?
That was the best. That was, I've seen a few people asking, why should he carry? I wouldn't.
No.
Just no risk.
Not a chance.
Just honestly, not. As soon as he went down, I went off.
Yeah, off. Exactly.
Doesn't matter. The tie was in the balance still, but still, you got to look at the bigger picture, and you think he has got to come off.
Yeah. Absolutely. Same with James the other day. I mean, Carlo said, as soon as he said, listen, I don't feel great here, he said, well, you're coming off because we're not taking the risk. And obviously James missed out on yesterday, but the hope is it's not a long injury. So before we go into talking about that mad second half. It went to 3-3. I think Everton, again, like we did in the first half, like we did at Old Trafford, we showed a lot of spirit to pick our heads back up. I agree with everybody in the comments. I agree with you, Tom. Under previous managers, without Carlo Ancelotti, we don't pick ourselves back up. We don't concede a third and then go, no, you know what? We're going to go and get a fourth. We concede a third and the opposition goes and gets a fourth, or we concede a fourth and the opposition goes and wins it in extra time. It was very much in that second half for me. Again, it was silly defensive errors, but Everton were very much the team that were always going to get the, not the next goal, because that doesn't make sense, but the goal that puts you in front, if you get what I mean. Tottenham were chasing Everton, really. We were the team that were going, right, okay, we're in front now, then we'd give the lead up, right, we're going to be in front again, rather than Tottenham going and capitalising on that. But I want to talk about some individual performances before we do so, and we will get back into the live comments a little bit later on in the stream. Massive thank you to everybody for getting involved in the comments, really do appreciate it. Tom Davies, mate. Davies, like I said, even in that opening 20-25 minutes or 15-20 minutes, whatever it was, that we were quite poor, and you had the likes of Mina, Keane, even Godfrey giving away silly balls. Tom was a standout player. He shone from the minute 1 to the minute 120. He was absolutely excellent. I don't know his stats because I haven't seen them, but my guess would be that he's over at least 90% pass completion, because I can't remember a time that he misplaced a pass, to be honest with you. He looked so confident, he was oozing quality, he was controlling the ball in that midfield, he was bypassing Højbjerg as if he'd literally said, you don't turn down the toffees in the summer, mate, see you later. He was just absolutely fantastic, and Tom's a lad who, obviously, there's still a lot of question marks about with a lot of Everton fans, and a lot of Everton fans still don't believe he's good enough, and that's an opinion, and opinion's fair. But Tom has had the responsibility put on him by Carlo Ancelotti, and I think the biggest thing we should take from Tom Davies' constant performances is that Carlo Ancelotti is a man who we all sit here and laud week in, week out, and we talk about how good he is and how much we're overachieving, and Carlo Ancelotti is picking Tom Davies every week because Carlo Ancelotti is seeing what Tom Davies can do. And like I said, even in that period of time where we were under the caution, we were under pressure, he still was absolutely excellent. There's a clip that's gone out on Twitter today, as if I couldn't love the lad anymore. There's a clip that's gone out today where when he's coming down the tunnel at the start of the game, he taps the Everton board above the tunnel, and he taps his heart where the badge is, and I nearly felt a bit, mate, in work. I just nearly felt a bit, because I just thought, this lad is Everton through and through. He's a proper Evertonian, and we're starting to see what a confident Tom Davies can bring to this Everton side. Again, it was the Calvert-Lewin show half an hour ago. We're now talking about his best mate. It might well be turning into the Tom Davies show. He was just brilliant, wasn't he, mate?
Yeah, I mean, flawless.
Yeah.
Literally flawless. I mean, it was the Tom Ketwig, Kaiser Davis that we see for England under-21s. Yeah. I mean, listen, if anyone watches the England under-21s, you'd be absolutely staggered to understand why he can't transition that sort of performances onto an Everton pitch. And listen, he's starting to. I mean, I think initially Tom sort of has this sort of not attitude, but like he sort of gives this attitude that football isn't like we're number one.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean, it weren't like it was sort of like Leighton Baines had it, but Baines was brilliant. Yeah. It was it's sort of like a job, if that makes sense. But recently, he just sort of started to fall in love with football. Yeah. I mean, he's absolutely been brilliant. I mean, there was conversations, I think, about 2-3 weeks ago with Everton fans that I had on Twitter, and some were saying, I mean, not naming names, but I think we know a few, and some of them are a lot of followers, you know what I mean? And some were saying like Fabian Delph before, and that also put me head through a wall. I mean, how can you even argue like that point? I mean, the fact was that they were saying like Fabian Delph's a better passer, but at the end of the day, Tom Davies had like a sort of double the minutes as what he had Fabian Delph had, so there's no real comparison in that note, and I don't even want to go further than that. It's from
there's this myth, isn't there, about Tom Davies not being able to pass. Yet every time I've watched him in recent weeks, he doesn't misplace a pass.
Yeah, well, George, I was like, when you were talking, you were saying about passes and all that, I just started laughing because I thought I'd bring them up. I mean, I mean, look, get on this. I mean,
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Yeah. I mean, are you sure? Because you might leave your missus here.
Hit me with
it. Like overall passes 66 he played. He completed 62 and a 94% accuracy. Long passes 3 out of 3, 100%. Through passes 100%. Crosses 100%. Passes to final third 100%. Passes to percent. I mean, he's had an absolute worldie of a pass completion there, really. I mean, then you look at his defensive work. He won 50% of his defensive duels. He won 100% of his aerial duels, which is bizarre. And this one, like, genuinely shocked me. He had 12 interceptions.
Yeah.
Recoveries 16, and 8 of them were in the opposition half.
Instrumental performance.
I mean, it was absolutely. I think to be honest with you, I think when you like look at skating and the lads at the final third and all that get like the plaudits, don't they? And sort of like performances like Tom give sort of go under the radar, but I think a lot of fans are starting to realise, like, where me and you were discussing it like in January, I think it was, weren't it, about what we could do in the summer, and we were talking about like a deep lying playmaker. I mean, he's got to stake his claim, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I like you mentioned.
He's got to.
Yeah. 100%. You mentioned England under 20, under 23s, under 21s there. He does play. He was playing a different sort of role for England under 21s, and I think he was playing in that number 6. And I don't think Tom's being given this.
You're right. He was playing that role where he played it like the last 2 or 3 games for Everton. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I don't think he was given a lot of confidence from previous Everton managers, because I think Marco Silva come out quite openly and said, no, Tom can't play in that role. And I think it was one of the coaches at England come out and said, I don't know what you're talking about, because he's brilliant in that role for us.
I think that was Boothroyd, weren't it? I remember that, and there was a bit of a discussion in it, and Boothroyd was pretty much convinced he could play that quite comfortably, and listen.
And he can. Very clearly.
He's wrong, is he?
That's it.
I mean, like yeah. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say that's it. And, obviously he's come into a really difficult sort of position on the field for Everton, because we're missing an absolute, unbelievable football in an Alan, the engine in our midfield. And this is what the conversation about Dominic Calvert-Lewin is I'm absolutely shitting myself for Everton to be without Dominic Calvert-Lewin for any sustained period of time. But then you look upon this season and you think, right, we're a couple of points off, a winner or 2 off top 4. We've got 2 games in hand. We're in a quarter-final of an FA Cup. We've got an excellent away record. And at times this season we've gone 3 months without Alan, 2.5 months without Luca Dean. We've had time without Richarlison, and previously before this season we hadn't won a game when Richarlison hadn't been in the squad. We've had times without James Rodriguez. We've had various key players injured and out of this side. And obviously I'm not saying we'll be fine without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I do think we'll be able to adapt. But Tom Davies has come into a role where everybody sort of thought nobody can replace Alan, and I'm not by any sense saying that Alan now is sits on the bench every week or whatever, because when he's fit I'm sure he'd be back in that team. But I think Tom deserves a lot of credit. Like you mentioned, pitch perfect for me yesterday, 10 out of 10 performance. He did not put a foot wrong. I'd challenge any Evertonian.
He's done one.
Was that one pass that he tried to sling it through the eye of a needle?
Yeah. That's where listen, my dad, we get onto Everton dads, my dad said, oh, that's terrible, but I want them to do that. It's
risks in the right areas.
But where fans will get on his back is what he does after it.
Yeah.
It's the fact he goes and flies in and you think, Tom, do not do that. Yeah. And then they were on the counter attack. That's just one little thing in his game that he is getting rid of it, but not as quick.
But he's still young, isn't he? I think we forget
that to me. That was shocking to me. He's 22.
Yeah, same age as me.
I mean, it's like he's one of them players, isn't he? Like, they've been around for ages, but they're still young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And listen, I think you're totally right. I mean, you're looking at a player who come into the side when he was. What did he come into the side when he was 17?
17, I think he broke in. Yeah.
So he's been in an Everton first team for 5 years, right? This is like his development stage of trying to like improve and all things like that. and he's had about, what, 5 different managers?
Yeah.
I mean, who would you say? Unsworth, Koeman,
Silva,
Allardyce, Silva,
Ancelotti. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, how can you sort of develop a player? Because I think it's a very good thing. I think I seen an interview, and they were talking Ross Barkley, and Ross Barkley was saying about, like, when he got into Everton's side, to sort of the whole thing of developing and all things just went out the window because he's in the first team, and you're there for a job, and you sort of just get thrusted into it, and there's no real more time to, like, sort of work out your kinks and things like that, and development goes out the window. So I think that's a perfect example of what happened to Davies. But listen, everyone was if you think about it, like, going back to the summer, everyone was convinced he should be going out on loan.
Yeah.
I was one of them, I'll be honest. I thought the way he was playing and things like that, I thought the lad just needs time to just go away from Everton and just sort of develop his game a bit better. But listen, again, credit to him.
Absolutely.
I mean, must be the old Calvert-Lewin attitude rubbing off on him, mustn't it?
That's it. Well, you seen, as if he couldn't pull at your heartstrings anymore. The lads screamed at the sight of his lungs at the end of the game. That's being pictured everywhere. He's touching the Everton badge coming out, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin puts a post up saying "my best mate" after the game. And I was just there thinking, I can't deal with this emotional. I just can't deal with being this emotionally involved. I can't deal with another game where there's, there was 3-3 last week and a last minute equaliser. Now it's 5-4 in extra time, and the players are lifting Bernard up in the dressing room, screaming his name, and
I thought it was that Troops in the watching the Arsenal game when I seen Bernard getting
it's a togetherness, and I do want to talk about the Everton spirit towards the end of the last game. It's one of the last topics I want to talk about, because I think it's really important to talk about the spirit and the togetherness and the camaraderie of this Everton team, and that's all part of that never say die attitude. It's because they're playing for each other, because they're genuinely a group of friends who love playing with each other. But no, I agree, Tom Davies was absolutely colossal in the centre of the park yesterday, and even in that didn't what, sorry?
Get man of the match, did he?
Who won man of the match?
Gylfi
won man of the match, yeah. But I feel like it was, and don't get me wrong, we'll move on to Gylfi in a moment. Actually, don't get me wrong, I thought Gylfi going forward was exceptional. I mean, 3 assists and a penalty, 4 goal involvements out of 5 goals is just unbelievable. So I'm not against Gylfi winning man of the match, but I think BT have practically just gone for the easy, oh shit, we need to pick a man of the match. Gylfi Sigurdsson's had 3 assists and a goal, so we'll go with him. But, Tom Davies was absolutely excellent, Didn't put other than that pass, didn't put a foot wrong. And even in that period where we were poor at the start of the game, he was really, really solid. Such confidence, such ease, just walking, not even, sprinting past players. He was sprinting past players, but just moving past players.
It's a shame when man of the matches just go to, like, players who score and set goals up. I mean, I understand it, but you've got to give credit when someone's putting a performance out like that. I mean,
it was unbelievable.
It was the best performance I've ever seen Tom Davies do after the Man City game.
Yeah. No, I agree, absolutely.
It was tremendous. He looked mature.
Yeah.
He looked like a mature midfielder that Everton have been crying out for.
Yeah.
And the fact that, the fact that you can have Takore next to him who's just doing... I put a tweet out about Takore saying, I'd love to see his stats over the last 4 games.
He just ran past ours there, sorry about that. Just seen him running past ours in his kit.
I said he's probably done double for Forrest Gump's route, running route.
I seen a tweet.
The lad's... He's just nuts.
He's unbelievable. I seen a tweet after the game saying Takore's in the dressing room now asking when Fulham are turning up.
Yeah, it's just like the man just doesn't stop, does he? He must go home and just get on the treadmill.
A warm down.
He must, while his missus must fall asleep, he must just fall asleep on a hamster wheel. And it's just crazy what he puts at. And someone must have it. I'll have to try and find it, because it must be crazy. And I mean, that lad for us has been under the radar. I mean,
well, I was gonna move on to him then. Tom Davies's midfield partner, Abdoulaye Doucouré, again, another absolutely unbelievable performance. He literally cut. I mean, we used to have a chant about James McCarthy that he covers every blade of grass. Where Abdoulaye Doucouré covers every blade of grass about 4 times over. He polishes every blade of grass after he's ran over it 3 times. He was absolutely exceptional again yesterday, Tom. Everywhere. His passing, like I said, really sharpened up after that opening 15-20 minutes. And we did see, as we've seen in recent weeks, we saw it against Manchester United. John says, guys, it's been nice chatting. Cheers, John. Really appreciate it. We will get back in the live comments in a moment, by the way. Do apologise, but we'll get into it. But again, we've seen an Abdoulaye Doucouré performance that was very box-to-box midfielder, and that's what I want to see from Abdoulaye Doucouré. I want to see him getting in dangerous areas. I want to see him with the ball on the edge of their box. I want to see him scoring like he did against Manchester United. He was everywhere last night, Tom, and again, he's just an absolutely exceptional footballer, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's not like going to be this beautiful, like, passer of the ball and things like that. He's a little bit awkward in that sense, but his absolute work rate and his defensive capabilities, and listen, Everton have been crying out for a player like that for years. Absolutely. I mean, for the Premier League, he's just, I mean, if you could mould a Premier League midfielder, he's right in the mix, isn't he?
Absolutely.
I mean, his work rate's incredible. I mean, I think, and to be honest with you, I don't even think he's been injured this year, has he?
No, he hasn't. He hasn't had an injury, no. Touch wood.
Well, it's definitely touch wood. I mean, so far he's played 20 games in the Premier League straight. I mean,
and he's played in the cup games as well. A lot of the cup games.
I think he's missed one Premier League game.
Yeah, through suspension.
And that was and that was a scary time as well when we were panicking when Davies and Gomez were centre mid, and it's just like he's played 1,700 minutes and ran
1,700 miles.
20 marathons he's run.
It's crazy, isn't he?
He's ran that quick. He ran back in time and went past Paul Radcliffe having a wee. So no, but in all honesty, he's been absolutely tremendous. I mean,
he's exceptional.
He's certainly been a pivotal part of Everton pushing up this league.
Yeah.
I personally don't think if we'd have got Alan alone, I don't think we would be where we are.
No, because Alan is very, very good at his job and he's very good at breaking play up, but he hasn't got the energy that Doucouré has. Like you said, okay, maybe he needs to sharpen up on his passing at times. Like I said, I love him in that box-to-box role, and that's part and parcel of the reason as to why I love Tom Davies playing in the way that he is, and I love it when I'm going to love it when Alan's back, is because it will allow Abdoulaye Doucouré to push up a lot more. Because I really do think in the final third he can hit a ball. You've seen against Manchester United, he scored, and 2 minutes later he plays a great ball into James Rodriguez. But like you mentioned, that energy is A, infectious to everybody else in the team, and B, irreplaceable. You can't replace that energy in midfield.
It's Ghana vibes.
Yeah,
it's absolute Ghana vibes. I mean, Doucouré has just got that much more better than Ghana with his passing wise, and
he's bigger as well, isn't he? He's more physical.
And just going forwards. I mean, that's what we were sort like. Ghana was brilliant, but he was just a ball winner, and he was massive integral part to Everton. But that allowed Gomez to perform and do a bit better than what he was doing. I mean, but now you've got Davies and Doucouré's doing the bit of the legwork. But I think Tom just complements him so well. And listen, I think that's a perfect role for Davies, just sitting in front of the back four. Listen, sometimes it's not going to work, but that's what squads are there for. I mean, it's a brilliant the three of them. Unfortunately, you've got Doucouré, Allen, and Davies. I mean, you start looking at Everton squads when they start playing well, and you start looking at it, and you think they've got so many options.
Yeah.
Just to like switch each other out. It's brilliant. And listen, let's hope this year continues and becomes a very, very good one.
That's it. And Abdoulaye Doucouré, like you said, it's very, very difficult. Usually when you sit down and you talk about the signings and the players that have been brought in the summer, usually it's very easy to pick out the best player and the player that's had the least impact. I genuinely can't pick between Alan, who's been unbelievable. Obviously we haven't seen him a lot recently because of the injury, but he was absolutely fantastic when he come in. Doucouré. Is
he back the week?
Carlo said he hopes he will be before the Tottenham game during the press conference. Again, I suppose we'll find out tomorrow in the pre-game press conference to Fulham, but hopefully he's back this weekend. Doucouré, who obviously, I mean, we spent £60 million on Doucouré, James, Alan and Ben Godfrey, and I literally just feel like going into Marcel Brands and just shaking him his hand constantly for about 4 hours long, because how we've spent £60 million on those 4 players who have all equally had an impact. And I seen a tweet today that I think was spot on, Tom, and it goes into the conversation about mentality, which we'll talk about in a second. But we've signed 4 Everton players, and I think by what the lad meant when he said that is we've signed 4 players who just absolutely, they just ooze Everton. Alan's got that grittiness in the centre of midfield, that hard hitting, not afraid to throw a challenge in, not afraid to get involved. Doucouré's got that never stop mentality, constantly running energy in the middle. James has got the flair and the quality that we know and love. And Ben Godfrey's just got, well, he's just got everything, hasn't he, really? He's got the versatility, he's got the leadership, he's got the defensive capability, he's got that wears his heart on his sleeve. We've gone out and we've not only signed 4 players to improve the team, we've signed 4 Everton players who really, really do sort of, encapsulate, I suppose is the word, what this football club is about. And we haven't signed players that come in and go, we don't understand the club, in the same ways that we haven't got a manager who doesn't understand the club. We've got a manager who fully understands Everton, fully understands the expectation of the fans and wants the best for the football club, and that's why he's here. I mean, I was watching a video before, a Man United fan and an Arsenal fan, and he said on the video, go and get Carlo Ancelotti from Everton, he's a United fan. And I was just chuckling to myself, just thinking, you've got no chance, mate. Carlo absolutely loves it here, absolutely. And it was in the same, it was laughing in the same laughing segment as when I'd read a tweet from an Arsenal fan saying go and get Calvert-Lewin, and that nearly put me out, mate. That was like reminding me of my childhood when I used to watch Lee Evans stand up and I just couldn't stop laughing. I just read that tweet and I was like, that's brilliant. That is top goal comedy. That.
I seen things like that, and I listen, that's delusion of grandeur, that, mate. I mean, I just don't see how you'd think. Like, let's be honest, you get to the summer and you can honestly say who would genuinely leave Everton.
Well, that's it.
It's hard to say.
No first teamers, I don't think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you look at Everton's first team, you think, well, you sort of listen. If Everton don't get in Europe, you wouldn't begrudge any of them leaving. Yeah. Like, especially like players like Luca Dean and things like that. I mean, that lad deserves Champions League all day of the weekend, and I wouldn't begrudge it at all with Luca Dean going, because let's be honest, he's done his service for Everton. He's done his best he possibly can for Everton. At the age he's at, you look at it and think, listen, if we can't get him to Champions League or Europe at least, he deserves it. Yeah. And listen, I thought it was in doubt because I thought his contract was coming, and then Ancelotti just comes up nonchalantly and just says, oh yeah, he's happy to, we'll just sign it all up and things like that. And you think, this is not Everton, this is just weird. And listen, like you say, fair play to him, Brands for like, since he's been in. I think funny thing is, since Machiri's been in, it's been 5 years since it's been 5 years or so now, and you look at each year and you go, transfers probably not great, and then they've just all come like buses, haven't they? And then just all of a sudden, just bang, 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 bang. Every single one's improved Everton. Which, when you think about it, like, a lot of transfer windows don't necessarily do that for clubs. That's I mean, 4 players have come in, and like you say, I mean, they've totally just grasped what Everton is all about. Yeah. You get the same sort of feeling with this team like you do when you see Everton be successful in last periods. Like, I'm 30 years of age this year, and like, the only times I've seen Everton be successful is when they've had so much like togetherness and just all at one, all underdog, that underdog type mentality. And this team, just, you get that feeling with this team. You get the feeling that when this team gives you the feeling that I had when Martinez come 5th and we just got pipped. I got the same feeling that they do when Gravison and Carsley just dragged us to a fourth place when we were winning 1-0 every week. And when we were getting to FA Cups with Jagielka and Kale and things like that. And you just get that vibe, don't you? You just get that vibe of like, this team's going to be in Europe, and like, you just get that sense it's starting to come back. And
absolutely,
like I said to you before, I mean, when off camera, I was discussing with me in a WhatsApp group about, would you have take Champions League qualification or an FA Cup trophy? I mean, I don't think it's really ever in doubt. I'd love to hear Everton fans' thoughts on that.
Yeah,
what
definitely.
You say?
Let us know. For me, it's FA Cup. For me, it's absolutely FA Cup. I think Ian Kroll of the Echo put it out on Twitter as well, and I said FA Cup, and he said, well, even if you're not allowed in Wembley, I said, well, yeah, because I've never seen Everton win an FA Cup. I've been to Wembley 5 times in my life. I hate the stadium for the start. The Scran's crap. It's dead overpriced, and I've never seen Everton win. So if you're saying, would you rather go to Wembley and see Everton lose or sit at home and watch Everton win, then it's sitting at home and watch Everton win. And I understand, and Carlo was asked, it's a big question, and I would be really, really interested to hear what Blues have to say. And if you're in the live comments, let us know in the comment section. We will be getting back in the comments in a moment. By the way, a massive thanks to everybody for getting involved. Really, really do appreciate it. Loads of comments today. I really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave the stream a like as well. Share the stream so you can get as many people involved as possible. And I understand Carlo was asked it, and he said, look, for the progression of the club long term wise, it's probably Champions League, and I think he's looking at that in terms of being in a European competition and the players that can attract, and the progress of the club. But he also did say in the same breath, but I understand for the fans that a trophy is absolutely key. And Duncan Ferguson said it at the end of yesterday's game. He said, look, we want to win a trophy for Evertonians. It's been far too long, and that's where I stand, mate. I know you're the same, aren't you? For me, it's an FA Cup all day long. I'm 22 years old, 23 this year. Never seen Everton win a trophy in me lifetime. I spoke to Kevin Campbell yesterday. We done the podcast. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. And he was talking about the successful Everton teams, and when he come into Everton Football Club, he knew how big we were, and he knew how good Everton was, and he made his debut against an Everton side which had the likes of Neville Southall in, Graham Sharp up front, Peter Reid in the centre of the park. He made his debut against that Everton side. So for me, it's a trophy all day long. Ganny Maid says Charity Shield, then we would have won the cup or the league. Sprain says we're about 4 or 5 new players away from competing at Champions League level. John says a good defensive team will make good progress. That is where Carlo was trying to build from. Louis says us and Leicester will make the big 7, and Manuel says no more room for Arsenal. Ben says got to be the FA Cup. We need a trophy. I'm only 18. Best I've seen is an FA Cup final against Chelsea. Win it when Saha scored exactly.
Lucky you went round for the Mark Pembridges and Scott Gemmell years.
I don't think I was either, to be fair, mate.
Well,
not from memory.
Oh, God. Thomas Radzinski, don't you
remember?
I remember
Thomas Radzinski, yeah. I don't remember.
Brian McBride.
Yeah, I remember Brian McBride.
Don't you remember Scott Gemmell and Mark Pembridge?
No.
Steve Watson.
I remember Steve Watson.
I bet a few my age or like a little older on, I'd be thinking,
just put the top over their mouth there.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I got introduced from. I'm surprised I'm still an Everton fan after watching all that garbage for years.
That's Everton for you. It grips you. Phil says
Can you remember Mark Pembridge? No, yeah. A few will know him.
No.
A few know Mark. Little redhead winger. He was like a little Toby jug, he was, but he was still alright. He was alright.
Well, let us know if you remember him. Philip says tough one, lad. Winning the cup will be amazing, but Champions League is where we need to be. Louis says all we need is a goalkeeper, a right back, and a solid backup attacker. What do you think then, mate? What I know your cup because we spoke about it before, but
it frustrates the life of me that people, especially Everton fans, can pull our noses up at a trophy. It's just bizarre. Like 1995. Yeah. Like that's when the last time we won a trophy. Like the best sort of thing I come up with is like say for example you take Arsenal, you take Tottenham. Yeah. It's a very similar, it's sort of like a good example because over the last maybe say you take the last 5 years of Arsenal, I don't think they've been in the Champions League. But yeah, they've won 2. I think they might just be outside of the last 5, but I think 2 or 3 FA Cup wins. But then you look at, and I've been, I think, 6th, 7th and 5th or round the Europa League sort of
places,
qualification. So you take that, right? Would you rather take that, or would you rather take the next 5 years of Tottenham, where they just get second, third, fourth, participate in a Champions League and get a runner-up?
Yeah.
Like, what would you have? Like,
given the team they lost to in a final, I'm taking the Arsenal option all day long.
Exactly. But like, why on earth would you not take FA Cups?
Yeah.
Like, when it's all said and done, and you're walking around Bramley-Moore, hopefully stadium, and you go in the trophy room, no one's looking at it. Like, no one's got a plaque saying Everton got a 100 million or something for Champions League qualification.
Yeah. Well, Philip says I worded that wrong, lad. Sorry, of course we want the cup. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, he got me going on it so well in Phil. But,
he's done that on favours. He actually put a comment in before. Let me find it before we go on. We go on. Ben is awesome. Does he look good in a rah-rah skirt though? Asking for a friend.
He's just trying to set the. I'm not gonna do that to Ben Godfrey. No, not happening. He deserves more than that. But just going on. Like, if you're at brand new stadium, like they've both got brand new stadiums. Everton are looking at getting a brand new stadium. Yeah. Like, when you go around them, like when people like. Liverpool get a load of people coming in, like from China, tourists and all things, loads of them all around the world. Did he go and, like, when they look, right, like, they go and get a picture with the trophies? Yeah. Like, what would we give them? Yeah. Just a shiny. What are Tottenham going to give them? Tottenham aren't going to give them. Tottenham's last trophy win was a Carling Cup. Yeah. That's how long ago it was. But now, modern day, all of a sudden, everyone wants fourth place in watch Champions, like we discussed over it. Like, would you take a Wednesday night going against Bayern Munich away at Bayern Munich? Yeah, would love it. Would love to go away and watch Everton in the Champions League. But realistically, are Everton ever going to win the Champions League in the next 3 or 4 years? No, they're not. Yeah. What's more important? No one our age or no one has ever had a feeling like going to a final in Wembley and winning it. Yeah. You want that. Yeah. That's what we're fans for. Yeah. We're not here to look at Everton's finances. Like, the way my job is and things like that on a professional, you look at it, you analyse things, and you try and work out what the best thing is to grow, like, sort of the income and things like that of a team. But as a pure fan, I don't care. Yeah. I'm just looking at it purely as a fan perspective. When you're 50 odd years of age, do you just go and tell your kids, like, oh yeah, I went away to Bayern Munich, or what did we do? Oh, we come bottom of the group and went out. Yeah. Or do you want to go tell them that we went and beat Man United or City in a final at Wembley? Yeah. And the story that develops after that with your mates and things like that. No, that's what you want, don't you?
No, I agree.
That's what it is. That's what it's there for. I mean, the conversations that you hear from lads who are like my dad and who lads I used to work with in my previous job and all that, like, they were Everton in the 80s. They were watching Everton in the 80s. The stories and things that they had was unbelievable. Going away to Rapid Vienna and things like that, and it was just and winning the league, and you're saying you should have seen it. It was absolutely brilliant. That's just mythical creature things to me, that, because I've never seen that. Yeah. As an Everton fan, I want that. Yeah, I agree. I want it. I want to feel it. Yeah. I want to see you just lift the trophy. Yeah, I couldn't agree. You know what I mean? I couldn't agree more, mate. I'd probably cry my eyes out. I would definitely mate. I cried my eyes out at bloody Tom Davies touching the Everton badge yesterday after he had a decent game. I'd be in absolute streams. Do you know what I mean? Like, growing up with, like, Liverpool fans, and you see as a young kid, like, wearing Everton top and things like that. Everton were never part of winning anything. Mm. Never part of it. Liverpool always had it. All my mates were going to Champions League finals, Carling Cup finals, FA Cup finals, UEFA Cup finals and all that. And you just sat there going, Everton are just about struggling into relegation. No, I want that. Yeah. I want it. Yeah. Do you realise how much it just would satisfy me to see Everton win a trophy and see my Liverpool mates just just looking at it and it's like, yes, this is our turn.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want.
Exactly, mate.
I mean, they're winning Premier Leagues for Christ's sake. I mean, I want a trophy.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I am 100% with you, mate.
I don't want another bit of a rant there.
No, I agree.
Years.
I think everyone agrees. I mean, Manuel says City is the big final boss. Ian says there's no footage of anyone finishing fourth. Trophy. Lewis says that's what I think. It'd be a change in mentality. Exactly, we need to break our duct. FGA says I'm still worn out. I feel like I ran a marathon. Sprain says we just need that one cup and they'll be flying in after. Hopefully. Kenny, he says FA Cup win. I would sell my soul to see Everton win it. Ben said top four would be amazing. Don't get me wrong, but we ain't guaranteed. We ain't guaranteed nothing from it. A trophy is history. Louis says the problem is City is still in the FA Cup. They are, but ultimately, you know, again, we can beat anyone on our day.
Even with the City thing, by the way, we've got a good record against City.
Yeah, true.
Like, listen, City's current run of form is just terrifying, and the brilliance. And I wouldn't really want them, but listen, if you go get them, you go get them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's it. I wouldn't. And the way Everton have been playing, put us away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anyone away.
Not that Goodison, just put us away.
Anyone away, literally. Gani says, "Don't worry, Tom. Carlo will work the magic." Mate, Philip says, "I consider myself told." No, we understood what you meant, Phil. We understood.
No. I listen. It's a very good thing to think. Like, yeah, like even some of my Everton mates have said, like, you know, qualification in Champions League produces better players, and yeah, we all get that.
Yeah.
But my thing is beggars can't be choosers. Yeah. We are not in a position to pull our noses up at any trophy, and especially the FA Cup.
Exactly.
The FA Cup's one of the best cups to win, in my opinion. I think people will lose that a bit and to look at the glitz and glamour of a Champions League. Listen, the FA Cup's one of the best cups in England, and you go win that and it'd be absolutely terrific.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more, mate. And what a way we started. What a way we progressed yesterday. We'll just briefly talk about the last half an hour of the game. We goes to 3-3. Richarlison with another absolutely excellent finish again, showing that, you know, he really was back to the Richarlison that we know and love yesterday. That confidence, that finish is absolutely exquisite. Alex Iwobi does well in that situation, plays it to Richie, finishes. They go up the other end, Harry Kane scores, and you're sort of sitting there thinking this is never ever going to end. And then it goes to extra time, of course. Game finishes 4-4. Excellent ball over the top by Gylfi Sigurdsson. Bernard's on the end of it. Bernard strikes it in, and from that point, I think extra time, quite like the game against Rotherham a few weeks back, when as soon as it got to extra time, we were much the more comfortable team. Then defensively, we'd brought on Seamus Coleman, and we'd got reverted back to that back four of and Mason Holgate. We've reverted back to that back four of Mason Holgate, Mina, Keane and Godfrey, so they looked a lot more comfortable. Seamus Coleman, who was playing in a more of an attacking role, I thought he'd done really well again. Tom Davis and Decore were just working it in the midfield. And it shows the spirit, Tom. I want to end on talking about the spirit. Obviously, Gylfi Sigurdsson, like we said, deserves a lot of credit for yesterday. 3 assists, 1 goal. Yes, 2 defensive errors, but ultimately, again, going forward, he was brilliant. And if it was a James Rodriguez type of performance, we'd be talking about it and lauding it. So you'd have to give that credit to Gylfi Sigurdsson. But you just mentioned there about winning a trophy and not seeing Everton ever winning a trophy and having those days and having those experiences. This Everton squad looked desperate to win a trophy more than they've ever done before. The spirit, the fight, the determination, the passion, the energy, and it's all, or certainly most of it, is down to the manager that we have, Carlo Ancelotti's winning mentality. I mean, Bernard strikes that ball and fires it into the back of the net. I actually was very close to tweeting out that Bernard hadn't had an impact in the game, and then he goes and does that.
Well, I did.
Well, yeah, I think I was next in line for you, mate, and then he does that. So it was sort of like delete the draft.
Yeah. No, I went. I done. I thought both. I thought both substitutions weren't great. In particular, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really see any much benefit. I mean, Coleman played okay, in my opinion. He played all right, but he didn't really. He sort of started becoming a bit better when we scored. Yeah, really. Yeah. So, and then I looked at Bernard in the first 10-15 minutes. He was losing it, and I was like, his attitude stinks here. Like, I wouldn't mind. Like, I was genuinely gonna tweet out saying like, I'd just sub him off.
Yeah.
If he carries on with this attitude. I mean, I thought it was awful. And I personally thought that Ancelotti's got to start giving more sort of confidence in putting these young lads on. I mean, I thought personally Nkunku on Yango would have been would have give more than what they did in the first 10 minutes, but obviously Bernard sort of perked up a little bit, and he done a brilliant. Listen, you can't believe he's fantastic run off his man, and it's a lovely finish because Gylfi's ball's good.
It's just a bit behind him, innit?
Yeah, he sort of. It's great to see it, but it's not a James Rodriguez ball, is it? Where it just probably land on his foot, and it's sort of he's had to like let it go across his body, and it's brilliant the way he does it. And his weaker foot, I mean, I don't even think he can hit that hard as hard as he did with his right foot.
Yeah. It was quality.
I've seen some under-8s hit harder balls than Bernard in some senses, but he done absolutely brilliant. So just again, straight across the keeper, left, right side, bottom post, another brilliant finish. And then all of a sudden he started playing well, didn't he? Like confidence. It's just strange. Like football's such like a mental game. It's like 80% mental, and then all of a sudden he just starts doing well. He starts playing balls in, finding space, and I thought he played well in the end. Yeah, I mean,
it's that spirit, isn't it? That spirit that Carlo Ancelotti keeps talking about, that has been instilled into this Everton team. I mean, over the last 2 games, we've seen us pull it back from 2-0 down at Old Trafford, equalise it to 2-2. Yet we conceded another stupid goal, but then we went. It was that never say die attitude. We went and found the equaliser in the last second. Again, yesterday, you know, we were losing 1-0. We were against the back, and within 10 minutes, we turned it around completely. And it like I said, you've seen the videos in the post game in the dressing room from Alex Iwobi's Snapchat that he had to delete, and you know, there's a.
Oh, did he have to delete?
He had to delete it because he said something about COVID regulations. I mean, I don't know how when they're all playing on the same pitch and they're all being tested, and it's a bit mad. But anyway,
said that.
I think it might. I think, to be fair, it might have been Snapchat themselves not understanding the situation Alex Iwobi's in and thinking he's having a little bit of an house party, and Luca Dean's just standing there with his ball. He's out. But it was an excellent end. It was a much better extra time period than it was, certainly in terms of defensively, than it was during the game, and we sorted it out. And like I said, that's that winning mentality of Carlo, to just calmly, you know, whichever hot beverage it was, let us know in the comments what you think it was.
Fine coffee, mate. That's all it is.
But to just blow on it when we'd scored the winning in extra time and not even look, it oozes class, doesn't he?
I think every Everton fan looked at that when BT done it, and everyone just thought GIF straight away, didn't they? They just like, that's a GIF.
Yeah.
Put that in the
that's
Everton
going viral.
Yeah. Put that in the Everton folder. Listen, I mean, just going on about the spirit and things like that. I mean, you look at what they did against Newcastle. And Ancelotti come out and listen. I personally, I thought Ancelotti was a bit at fault for Newcastle there, and he come out and started saying the attitude and things like that, and that just shows you what sort of like how highly the players sort of rate him, and like I've got respect for him. I mean, you get that sort of how can it like that when Wenger was at the top of his game, when Mourinho was at top of his game, when Alex Ferguson was at top. They command respect, and when they come out and give a scathing review and basically say you're being lazy, because that's what he said in a roundabout way, the attitude.
Absolutely.
Then after that, to put a performance in like Tottenham and Man U is just, it's absolutely terrific, and it's brilliant to see Everton not lay down and roll over and show their bellies anymore. I mean, they're fighting to the very end, and it's down to the manager instilling that belief into them that they can do anything that they can possibly can.
That's it, and ultimately that's what's taken us into an FA Cup quarter-final. We'll find out who we play today. You know, Manuel asked what time it is. It's 7:45. 7:45. Great British time, GMT, or GM, whatever it is. I think it's after the game tonight. Ian says she remembers Sylvester Stallone with his cup of tea at the game. Yeah. Sprain says Baguette Pickford, because Louis says Lloris is a bad goalkeeper. Phil says brilliant win last night. Captain Tom was amazing. Gave a boss talk to the players when DCL scored, proper made up for him. Eugene says Farhad Mashiri gives every chance of entering new and lucrative Champions League market. Harold says long live Lil Tiny Bernard. Manuel says okay. John says Bernard was just finding the high tempo hard. Eugene says scan this afternoon. Louis says I said to my dad that Bernard should be sent into orbit, and 1 minute later he scored. John says his best match so far. Ben says the fact we're even talking about getting in the Champions League and winning the cup shows how much we've improved up the toffees. Exactly, and it was another excellent result yesterday. It was another roller coaster performance, but ultimately that spirit, that fight, that never say die attitude, and like Tom's just rightly said, not rolling around and letting teams just tickle our belly now and just completely giving up, or letting our heads drop when we go behind or we concede an equaliser. We're picking ourselves back up and we go again. So listen, we'll finish it there then. Really long live stream as expected. Joe, who's a Spurs fan, says well done on last night. Hope you guys go on and win the cup. Cheers, Joe. I hope so as well. And Christopher says, do you start Bernard next game? Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
No.
I think the front three will be either James, Iwobi, or James, James, King, and Richarlison, or Iwobi. Michael Keane up front. Put Ben Godfrey up front. Why not? But no, I wouldn't. Anyway, Tom, massive thanks for joining us today, mate. I know I've taken up nearly 2 hours of your time, so I do apologise for that one.
No, it's great. I mean, I forgot to put the lights on again. It's been that long, so...
It's alright. We still see your nice face. The laptop screen's providing the light.
Yeah. I thought Phil was going to say again about the whatever he was saying about a horror movie he called out last time, but no, he hasn't, so... I was nearly pulling out and switching lights on, but no, I'm not pulling down to peer pressure, mate. So they're staying off, and that's it.
Happy days. Well, don't forget to go and check out Tom's Twitter in the description down below. Drop Tom a follow. Absolutely brilliant, of course. Tom will be on the channel a lot more within the next couple of weeks or so. If you've enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. A massive thank you to everybody in the live comments. I apologise that we couldn't get through every comment, but it was a manic game, so I do appreciate that. If you're watching it live, please do leave a like. If you're watching it as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll get involved with as many of those as I possibly can. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. But like I said, if you want to check out my instant thoughts after the game, the instant match reactions up, if you want to check out the latest episode of our podcast, I was joined by Kevin Campbell yesterday, and we sat down and spoke about his time at Everton, so you can check that out on the channel and on all podcasting platforms as well. Gani says, Forza Toffees. Eugene says, see you about the Toffees. Sprain says, see you later, lads. Louis says, in a bit. And Ben says, see you, Blues. Hope for Sheffield United or Bournemouth in the draw. Anyone away, to be honest. Preferably not City or United. But I'd take Bournemouth away. I'd take Bournemouth at home as well, to be fair. As long as we win against Fulham. Sheffield United. Anyone.
I'll take anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at who's left in the draw, mate, and you might as well just get anyone, mate. Yeah. I mean, Leicester. I think Chelsea playing tonight.
Yeah, Chelsea play tonight, yeah.
Leicester, Man U, City, Everton. 5 of the top 6, is that?
Yeah, well...
5 of the top 7, sorry, in the things. Few certain teams missing again. So that's it. They must have must be warm on the feet. It must be warm on the feet up, mustn't it?
That's it, cold feet, mate.
They must all get, you know what? For Christmas or next, Klopp should just buy them. Them hot steam where your ma and your nan buy these, where them water steam where you put your feet in and they massage your feet.
I've never heard of them. They sound alright, them.
Yeah, you should have all them on the bench for the Anfield games next week.
Well, you can go to Primark and you can get loads of slipper socks for like £1 and they're dead warm. The boss, you know. Like
why don't Everton send over a few of them big slippers they've got hanging around the shop while you know what I mean? They might as well just send them over. It'd be great to see Henderson just throwing a big pair of Everton slippers on, wouldn't it?
It'd help them, because we all know that when you've got cold feet, you know it can be a dreadful outcome.
There's only one way it goes, and you know you could end up in the hospital if it carries on with things. It's a terrible illness. So.
It is.
Let's see.
Anyway, that is going to do it for today's video. Phil says, I know we are playing well away, but take another home tie. Yeah, potentially, but we'll have to see what happens. Big thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. It only does take a second. We'll be back tomorrow with the game preview ahead of our Premier League game against Fulham, and then of course we'll have the weekly news roundup up as well. Massive thank you for watching. Big thanks to everybody in the live comment. If you're watching as a YouTube video, massive thank you. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.